Good morning. It's Wednesday, and on Sunday I spent some fun time making these 4 little notebooks, which are just so cute. They're just about 3¼ square, and they're just little collages that I did on some old bank receipts and folded in half. And I added 2 little notepads inside each side and used some twine to go between 2 holes with reinforcers, and then I decorated the front up a little bit. So 4 different styles, similar but all different. And I've prepared 3 more to make with you today to show you how I made them, and they're a little bit different again. So I'll show you what I've got. First one is a green and music sheet in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And so I've pre-planned it a little bit so that this would be kind of quick and easy. So the first thing I want to do is add a base layer underneath my focal point. See how I want these like this, and I think I might put that in under the brown, something like that. So I'll glue down my green piece first. I just found these to be so fun to do. I didn't have a pattern or anything, I just did them, which is kind of the way I roll. I see an idea, but I don't hardly ever ask for a pattern or sizes. I just do my own version of it. And I think I'm going to ink the edges of this daffodil. Just to kind of let it stand out a little bit. I think this would be a fun mass make project, and it would be a fun project for kids too, because it's pretty easy to put together, especially if you have things pre-cut for them, and maybe just use stickers or something for kids. I mean, they could do fussy cutting too maybe, but depending on the kid. They might be happier to use the stickers. Okay, so I'm going to put that down. Just with the glue stick. And I ruined that leaf. Maybe not. I can fix it. Put that about like that. And this is I guess a vintage craft supply. The daffodil was something that I got out of my mom's stash. And it was one of those card making kits that you have multiple images of the same thing and you layer them on top of each other for sort of a 3D effect. I remember she was doing those for a while. And she had this page and some strawberries, which I cut out the same day. They were both really cute. So I'm going to do special strawberries ones for a certain someone I know. If they're watching, you know who you are. So there's our daffodils. And a nice little, you could go further, like this purple one I did a lot more pieces and parts, so you could add a sentiment or whatever, and that, you know, you might customize them further before you gift them. So then I also made up these ones. I did lined paper that I had. It was a long thin strip notepad that I cut up and inked the edges and put little stamp just on the front page. I didn't stamp each page. But these ones I thought I would do coffee dyed paper. So I have lots of scraps of coffee dyed paper when I do 8.5 by 11s, and then I don't use the whole sheet if I'm collaging or doing tags or something. So I cut these into the sizes that I need for this. And I thought what I would do is use that instead of the line paper. So you just kind of line it up. Oh, and these have the nice rough edges too. I used the ripples scissors on them, or my tear ruler, I think it was. And so you just line it up. And what I did was I used the paper clip to space my holes apart. So I think we'll go in this way. Sorry, I had this down pat on Sunday. And you want to make sure you're down far enough that your hole reinforcer isn't going to stick up above. The first one I did stuck up just above the edge of the page. So just watch that, because I made my own hole things this time. I have a 5/8 punch, and then just use my single hole punch to actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this side first because I want to see how it looks on the front here. Get it sitting where I want it on the front. And I figured that that's about the most paper I can go through without hurting my hand or having a more aggressive hole puncher. It was 3 pages folded in half. And that worked. And then for the other side, I want those holes to line up with the ones on the front cover. I can just do it through the front cover. But you want to make sure that the front cover looks the way you want it. That's why I didn't start on the back cover. And then if anyone has a craft that you can do with the little punch outs from the hole punch, I would love to know what that is, besides just using it for confetti. I could just save a little jar for confetti. And then just twine for the, oh, gotta do your, slow down, Judy. You have to do your reinforcers first. And so I cut enough to do them inside and out. And some of these aren't perfect. Let's get a good one for the front. You have to eyeball it to get the hole right in the middle of the circle that you cut. I suppose you could punch holes first and then you'd still be eyeballing it. So I'm using the 3-in-1 glue, which is really sticks really fast. You just don't need very much of it at all. And then on the inside, we want that on the paper. I got some reinforcers in my thrift haul. I don't know if you guys saw that one yet. Some white ones, which I'll probably end up antiquing. But the nice thing about making them yourself is you can have them any color that you need, excuse me, to coordinate with your project. So that looks cute. And then for this, I just go from the inside to the outside so that the bow or knot is on the front. Oops.
running 2 iPads?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not filming, are you?
Yeah, I am. So that's how that looks. And then of course you put the same one in the back too, and I put the bow on the inside in the back one, so that the back is flat if you want to clip it into a journal. So I thought they were really cute. Anyway, thanks for watching. Enjoy your day. Okay, we'll continue on. I don't know if I'm going to be able to figure out how to splice this together or not, but hubby just interrupted me a bit, so I had a coffee with him, sent him back out to the shop, and we'll continue and I'll see if I can figure that out later, how to splice 2 video segments together. I'm all pretty new at this, but Google is great for helping me figure that stuff out. If not, it'll be 2 little short videos. So put this little back one in. Some of these are pretty wonky. Got wonky reinforcements. Just a little wonky, not real wonky. And then, like I said, I do this one so that it's tied inside. I suppose you could have a 2-sided and have a design on the front and the back, but that's not how I saw it in my head, so. And another thing, if anyone has any tips for tying something tight when you're doing it by yourself without someone to stick their finger in and hold it down for you. I mean, I'm using my own finger from the other hand, but I don't feel that it gets as tight as it could. So if you have a trick for that, please share it. I'd love to hear it. So there's my little notebook, number 1. And then the second one is a blue theme with some music paper and some of the border punch that I have and some other patterned paper. And I've got some blue mesh, which I'll glue down. And this one's pretty simple, just some blue mesh and a little blue jay fussy cut with a bit of orange and green in the leaves, which is picked up in the splatters in this background paper. And you're not going to see much of the music paper underneath, but you know it's there. Like, you know, subconsciously you know it's there. So go ahead and I want to do the gluing on of the stuff first, because one of the first ones I did, again, this one, I put the, actually, I did that backwards. I usually put these on. I need to put these on first so that I make sure I put my blue jay low enough. That's what it was. Again, like I said, this was Sunday that I did these. And for this one, I'm using black reinforcers. And I've got more of these pages cut. And like you'll notice on these, like you can see the holes from the old paperwork, and it doesn't matter. It's obvious that this is upcycled. So I could, I suppose, put a little border across there, but you're not really going to notice it with these being there. And then I just want to see how far down this has to be. So down about here. That's one way to make sure you get down low enough. And again with the kind of just eyeball it that it's centered on the front. Get your paper punch and go right to the end of the paper clip. I suppose too that you could use another clip to hold all this together. But this works well enough. So I'm going to put these little reinforcers on the front. And then, this is tricky. I think I might start with glue stick on this because it'll spread on each little piece of it. And I want that kind of staggered with the other blue piece of paper. Not sure if that's going to be enough glue to hold it. It's kind of, I think it's like a drywall tape mesh. So it's a little bit curled because it was on a roll, I think. I don't even know where this came from. In my stash. Yeah, that's not wanting to stay down on the edges. So I'm going to go in with this stuff and put it. Take my glasses off for this because I cannot see it. I remember when Mom was my age and she was starting to have problems seeing the little things. And I thought, oh, I'm glad I'm not like that. I hope I never get like that. Here I am. That's the way the world works, I think. The way life goes. Get those corners so they don't curl up. Covering up my little fancy border. I don't think I want to, so I'm going to just do this. Leave it up about here. So I want to cut it close to one of the ribs so that I do have the jagged edge. I want the jagged edge at the bottom. I'll save that for something else. And roll that glue off my fingers. You get to see a bit of a messy me today. Which is not a hard thing to catch these days with all the crafting. That should hold that down. And again, with the hole punch cutouts, I've started a little jar to put them in. I love little jars. So if anyone has an idea for those, let me know. And we'll see if we can make it work. I don't think I'm going to be able to reuse that glue. Get this I didn't ink this fella, but there's too many little edges, I think, for me to try to ink him. I want that kind of like that, off to one side a bit. And this one might need some of that glue too, just to stick to the drywall tape or whatever it is. Usually drywall tape is like a white color, but maybe it's some other sort of reinforcing tape. Yeah, he needs some help to stay down. And this 3-in-1 glue is much better for that. Yeah, I can feel it's gonna hold. So the Blue Jay image came out of one of the National Geographic Field Guide to Birds. I think it's National Geographic that I had, and I've shared some pages in a couple of swaps with some different friends on Junk Journal Junkies Canada. So they can do a similar project if they want. And I sit, when I'm relaxing in front of the TV, I'll do 5 or 6 or more, depending on how long I'm there. Just find the pretty birds and do them. Some of them are pretty drab, but I think I can still use them in projects maybe. And then the black ones, like all the crows and ravens, there's so many different species or subspecies of those. I'll be able to use those maybe in some Halloween journals. Or for ravens, I can always do something for my son, who's at Carleton University, and their team mascot is the raven. So I do think that would be fun. I think I'm more into their mascot than they are, that being my son and his girlfriend, Amelia. And then this was just put on with glue stick too, so I'm going to have to watch some of these things. Our house is very dry in the winter with the wood stove, so I watch that things don't dry out too much. I find things with the holes in them, the glue goes more between the holes than it does on the back of the item. So there's that, and then we need to put the reinforcers on the paper side as well. You probably could skip this, but I like the look of the reinforcers. And it makes it feel more sturdy and like look more sturdy. And it is. It does prevent those strings from tearing through. I do want to get the metal grommets and the tool to put those in. I asked my dad about one. He said he had one, but he didn't offer it up. So I guess I'm not getting dad's. I'll have to get my own. So this string came off of a journal that I got at the thrift store and tore apart for the paper. It's a color that I didn't think that I would ever use, but I saved it anyway. And it has blue and red and green in it, so it works pretty good. I'm just gonna do it off to one side so I can save some of it. I just, with all the other strings and threads and yarns that I have, I'm reusing one that's vintage. But I just like it with this. So there's that. And then we can, oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't punch my holes. So I'll just do this. There's always more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. Sorry if that offended anybody, it's just a saying. You know, you have to be careful what you say on YouTube. Just just an expression. I would never do that. And here we can do this, which helps a little bit, just so you don't have to worry about it moving around so much. Didn't seem to be quite as hard to do. Must be the thickness of the paper I used on that glued on to the front. And then our little, sorry, I'm talking a little bit, I feel like I'm talking a little bit quieter today. Just a rainy day feeling, I guess. Storm coming. Colder than I thought it was going to be this morning. And Brian's out in the shop building a cabinet for one of our customers. We did a kitchen for. She needed one more cabinet that needed to be kind of more special. That's big enough. Still waiting on those tips for how to do those knots better. Actually, it's not too bad. It's a nice snugness. So then I have a little box that I keep on the top of my cart for really tiny bits that I know I'm not going to be able to tie. They're too short to tie, and I'll use them in some other design way. So I have a little box of tiny little scraps and threads and so on, little bits of, even that might go in there. So there's number 2, the Blue Jay. Oh, and the other thing that I do like to do with these, I think I did it on these ones, is I put my initials. I always like to sign my stuff JAG, which is my initials. And it pretty much looks the same all the time, so I always know if it's my art or not. Oh yeah, that one's there. It's just kind of faint. And usually bottom right hand corner, just like an artist would normally do, is what I do. And some of my canvases that I did this past winter, I hid my signature within the canvas, like with letters, a J, an A, and a G, just sort of scattered around in the design. But generally, that's my little JAG is what I do. So now I have another green one with some French-English dictionary page, and then it has also got a little bit of paper on the inside as well. So pretty colors. And for this one, I was thinking of my son who likes owls. I just love this owl. And I picked out some, I think that's cross-stitch cloth, pretty sure. And then I have this little piece of ribbon too that I was going to kind of play with and see. But let's do the fasteners first. And I wanted to just show you how I make the fasteners before I forget to. So, not the fasteners, the reinforcers. I just got a bunch of cardstock. I've got a pad of cardstock that has white craft paper and black from Dollarama. So it's not super thick, but it's cardstock. And so what I did was with my 5/8 circle punch, I cut a bunch of circles. Then take my hole punch and try to eye it so that it's in the middle. Not so easy to do. Some of them are just slightly off. I imagine if I did hundreds of them, I would get it so I would be in a rhythm and get it better. That one's pretty good. But I went looking for them the other day in stores, and even at the dollar store couldn't find any. I didn't go to Staples. They probably would have them, but you always have to color those white ones anyway. And these days they're like shiny plastic, so this is more the vibe I like anyway. So that's how I did those. So let's do a little glue fixing here. I just felt that edge come up. And these are my little signatures. So we'll punch one. Oh, if I'm going to use this, then I have to have another one. I have my little craft cart right behind me. It's kind of handy. All the basics that I use on a daily basis. So again, I just want to make sure I'm down far enough. Yep. And it's centered up well enough. And go right to the edge of the paper clip. And that just fits in that little part in there. End up putting those in my jar. I really like the owl. I've cut out a whole bunch of owls. I know Carson really likes owls. That's my son. And my cousin-in-law, Anita, really likes owls, or at least she did. Maybe she's on to some other thing now. She's going to have to let me know so I know what kind of journal to make for her. I know I can make a turtle one for Brad. My cousin, second cousin. Was my mom's cousin. I just love a good theme. When someone likes something, I love to make them something in their theme. And then for this one, instead of twine, I'm going to use this torn strip of black, very lightweight fabric. I love the torn edges. So I'm just going to twist and add a little bit of glue to the very end here. Just so that I can get it through the hole. And I'm going to go in, I don't want to have to do it to both ends, so I'm going to go in the front. Out. And then this one, I will end up having room maybe for a bow, although I'm not sure an owl needs a bow, but maybe I'll just do it as a knot. And then cut diagonal. Diagonal. Diagonally. Could be a Harry Potter themed one. That's for my little snippet box. And then I had this. And the owl is kind of tall, but I think if I put, he has to go off to the side anyway. And then I was gonna put a snippet of this somewhere, I think here. Yeah, I was thinking it because I have a nice long piece of it that I would, again, I've got that cut on a diagonal, so I'll do the same. I can take that up further, bring it down to about here. And then I'll just fray up both ends just a little bit more. I know that they used to always try to find ways for things not to fray. I remember my mama had a bottle of fray check. Now we're trying to fray things. Crazy world we live in. Change with the times. And I didn't antique this. I wonder if I should. Still can. I'm going to do that a bit offset too. No, I'm going to do it offset this way. Kind of equidistant from this edge and this edge. And then I'm going to take my inker and just give it a little, whatever was left on there. So it's not so white. Come on, stay down. That might need some 3-in-1 as well. I have plans to make some of these for the new Green Turtle Market in Alderville. That's just opening up, just opened up the other day for them to sell in there. So that's exciting because I sell my jewelry there. And it'll be exciting to have somewhere to sell my paper crafting. And that's something they don't have in there yet, so they want to have a market of all sorts of different goods. We have t-shirts and aprons and my jewelry. And I think they're going to do some hand-sewn items as well. Who knows what they'll get into. Crafty bunch. So if you're in the Alderville area, stop into that new business and see what they have. I know Brad's planning to come and see it. LOL. And again, this is probably going to need some 3-in-1 around the edges, but I wanted to give it a general stick down with the glue stick. And then just this piece looks like it wants to curl. Might not have got very much glue stick. And that just takes a tiny little dab. And then I don't want this piece sticking up like that because it'll just get ripped off. I tell you, when you're fussy cutting little leaves and stuff, it's very fussy. That's why they call it that, I suppose. But it is relaxing to do. You don't have to pay too, well, you do have to pay attention to it, but you can kind of have a TV show going too. And the show that I'm watching right now is one that, yeah, I don't really need to pay that much attention to it. If I was watching one of my favorites, I might not be able to do both at the same time, but sometimes I'll just put something on just to have it in the background while I'm working. There, so that's that little guy. Front part, anyway, let's go ahead and finish the back section. Oh, so again, I forgot to do my holes, but I can mark them. And those ones actually look like they're a little crooked. Might just be the way that I put the reinforcers on. But yeah, they do look a little crooked. So I'm going to even up this one. My notebook, my rules, right? Hopefully I've got that down far enough. So now when I go thrifting or even just shopping in general, I'm always looking for clothing racks that have marked down clothing that would be suitable for these kinds of little strips of torn fabric. One thing I'm looking for in particular is ticking stripe and gingham. But there's no rush. I'll find it. It'll find me, actually, is the way I see it. Because that's what seems to happen. The stuff you're looking for finds you. One day we went yard sailing. It was several years ago now, before 2020, I think. We went out yard sailing one day on a Saturday in Coburg, and I don't know why. I was looking for measuring tape stuff. And that day, I must have found like 5 different things that were measuring tape related. They weren't all measuring tapes, but one was like the measuring ruler that you use to hem skirts. And one was a couple of fold-up measuring tapes and a couple of cloth measuring tapes and a couple of rulers. And it was just like all in one shopping trip. Just because I was looking for them, that's what I found. It was weird. Funny how that works. They say you manifest what you're looking for, you find. And it's like, it sure was true that day. The only time I find that that doesn't work is if you have a special event that you have to go to and you need a white blouse to wear or something. You can never find a plain white blouse when you need one to wear to an event. And that's not something that I keep in my closet. Okay, so that's that as well. Copy dyed paper. Bunch of little pages to write notes or lists or write down your dreams, your hopes, your plans, your schemes. So I just think they're so sweet and can be any theme that you want. Most of these are nature, and then this one was more of this is a little miniature picture of the cover of a music book, a vintage music book, and I got it out of a vintage music book. So it was like an advertisement. An advertisement for a music book. So I put it with some lace and some burgundy, and it just has a different vibe to it than these other ones, but I love them all. So like, comment, share, tell me which one's your favorite. I hope you really enjoyed them. And sorry about that. We will see you in the next video. Have a great day.